Solved the retirement crisis. Your old buddy Josh in his basement with his dogs has solved the retirement crisis. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm waiting for Pablo to bark because he's going to want to come back in because he's outside taking care of his business. And when he takes a poop, he gets all excited, like, look at me, Dad, I just pooped. Like, give me a treat. We don't get treats for pooping. No, no. Anyway, so what you're looking at here in the PVC pipe of knowledge is we're looking at people over the age of 65, all right, households over the age of 65, according to consumer expenditure surveys from the BLS for 2021. In my formerly nicotine-stained fingers, as Rush Limbaugh, RIP, used to say. We're looking at this. So these are our income after taxes. And here's our average expenditures after, well, not after taxes, but those are our average expenditures. Look, almost identical. It's shocking. This is people over 65, as we see right here. You can see, hold on, right here. Well, you can't see it, I guess. It doesn't matter. But right here, over 65 years old. Right there. All right. So our average expense, oh, here comes Pablo in a second. It's not. All right. Anyway, so our consumer units with reference person age 65, all right? And we got 36,000 households that we're surveying. Our income after taxes, 55,046. Our expenditures, our average expenditures per household is 55,064, all right? So what we're going to do next, if we look at the breakdown of those expenditures, we're going to show it again. You can't really see it, but you're going to see housing. And you're going to see right there, $19,628 is spent on housing. $19,628. So if I take my trusty calculator, if we say our 19 divided by 55. Now these aren't median, these are averages. That's 35% of our expenditures is on housing. Shocking, because that's exactly what this BLS uses for CPI. Of that housing, shelter is 11,000, which consists of mortgage, interest, and charges, property tax, maintenance, repairs, all right, owned dwellings, which basically of the shelter consists of owned dwellings right there. You can't see it. Mortgage, interest, and I need my glasses. Mortgage, interest, property tax, maintenance. All right, so mortgage, interest, property tax, and maintenance equate to $7,200. All right, owned dwellings or shelter. Then we have rented dwellings is another $3,000. Okay, all right. Then utilities is $4,000. So we're not going to get rid of utilities. We're not going to get rid of household operations. We're not getting rid of housekeeping supplies or household furnishings. But by far and away, the biggest expense is housing, of which shelter is the biggest expense of that. And shelter consists of a significant cost in terms of mortgage interest, property tax, and maintenance and all that. All right, so we know that for a fact. Anyway, so what I say, 34% of our expenses are focused on housing. Now, we're not going to get rid of property tax. We're not going to get rid of housing operations, household supplies, and furnishings and equipment. But we could get rid of a couple other things. All right, and I'm going to show you. Check this out. Watch this. You're going to be flummoxed. Here in the United States, this is from the ACS, American Community Survey from 2020, American Community Survey, all right? Now, this is all households, not just 65, but they surveyed from 2016 through 2019, and we came up, so we give this for 2020. Let's see, median selected monthly owner cost, housing units with a mortgage, 1,600 schmackaroonies. Housing without a mortgage, $500. Interesting. Housing units with a mortgage cost more than 3 times housing units without a mortgage, because you can't get rid of property tax. You can't get rid of basically your homeowner's insurance, your maintenance, all that. But look at that. The mortgage makes your expenses on your housing 300% more than without. All right, so now we go back to here. Hold on just a second. I hear a dog. Go back to here, and we realize if you're over the age of 65, 52% of you have no mortgage, which means 48% of you have a mortgage or you're renting. So we've got a 25% of homeowners over the age of 65. 25% of the population over the age of 65 has a mortgage. 23% is renting. All right. So 52% will have significantly less expenses on their housing. And again, the housing is the biggest by far and away cost in retirement. Now, if we go back to expenditures, we go back to housing again. Again, you can't really see this, but you'll see renting is right here is renting is a significant, renting and mortgage interest and charges. That's 3, 4, 5. That right there is over a half of the total cost for your shelter. Owned dwellings is $7,200. Rent is $3,000. Mortgage interest and charges is $1,500. Property tax is $2,500, $2,600. And the interesting thing is, I don't have it in this graph here, but when you look at homeowners without a mortgage, you also see their property taxes are much, much lower. And the reason for that is because they've generally been stable. They've been staying in their home for a long time. And when they don't trade up, essentially, or they trade down, and they don't have a mortgage, they're trading down, downsizing, like I will do at some point. They're going to buy a house that has lower expense, lower property tax. If they stayed in the same home for years, the property tax has been going up a little bit every year, I grant you, maybe or sometimes every year, but not as much as someone who just bought, like in California, perfect example. California, man, you got that Prop 13, you stay in that house, your property tax is minimal. You sell and go someplace else, your property tax goes through the roof. That's the nature of that. And then, of course, once you're 65, you get homestead exemptions and other things that I have a homestead exemption. And it saves me, I can't remember, a couple $100 a year on my property tax, which, hey, I'll take it. But anyway, once you were 65, there's also exemptions for seniors as well. The issue, though, is we solved the retirement crisis because we just saved you significant. We went from $18,000 a year as your household cost with a mortgage to $6,000 a year with your household cost without a mortgage. And again, now that cost is all inclusive, not just 65-year-old people. But you see how this works. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have as much expenses. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have interest cost, you don't have principal to pay back. And don't forget, this right here doesn't include paying back principal, because principal is not considered an expense. It's actually considered an asset. You're building up your equity, thus it's not an expense. Kind of weird. But you don't have principal cost, you don't have interest costs, and according to the BLS, the Consumer Expenditure Survey, part of this expense is rental costs as well, because it's all inclusive. So we just saved you, in that case, on just $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. And now again, that's not to specifically 65-year-old people, but we save you thousands of dollars by going into retirement with no mortgage. And so we know for a fact the vast majority of retirees are doing just fine. So we got 52% own their homes free and clear. I guarantee if you studied all those homeowners, they say, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm content in retirement. We have 25% are renters. Those are probably the people that are kind of nervous about retirement. I'm just telling you right now. The other 23% are homeowners with a mortgage. Presumably they have a whole bunch of equity. Now they might not, and so they could be a little, but it's just all, I guarantee, if you did a study, you asked people 65 and older who own their homes outright, are they content in retirement? They're going to say yes. Thus, retirement crisis solved. Now all these retirement doomsayers got to find another line of work. We just solved the problem for them. Now, over your thoughts, we're going to go live on Locals Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We go live on Locals, $5 a month to join the crew. Look at my ring. Look at that ring I got. Yay. Look at that. Are you jealous? Yes, you are. I finally even got married again. You're going live on Locals every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, $5 a month, and you can join the fun. All right, and there's the links in the doobly-doo. See ya.